So this is why social media is ruining jump training. Now, we had an athlete of ours message us today, and he was just complaining about everything he was just seeing online and
Mhm.
just what everyone's just posting different opinions, like different approaches, like rage baiting, like just doing and posting all this nonsense. And for someone that's a beginner now, I can imagine that's very confusing if you're lost on how to jump higher and you want to know how to jump higher for real and actually see progress. One guy's saying, don't squat this way. Another guy's saying, squat this way. Another guy's saying, do this exercise. Another guy's saying, don't do this exercise. And you're like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? And it can be quite frustrating because when I first started my jump training career, I fell into this. Social media, this was back in like 2018, 2019. Social media wasn't nearly as, it was pretty developed by then, but it was not to the level it is now with like all the short form content, TikTok and Instagram and all the rage baiting. Uh, there was a lot more just general good information out there, but still, like everyone was saying different things and it's still confusing. So I can imagine today it's just on
Extreme.
another level.
Yeah.
And it's something that annoys me too, and I'm not completely innocent with this. I've definitely like rage baited a little bit in the past. And it's something that I don't really want to have to do anymore. And that's exactly why I've moved over more to YouTube. Now I'm not posting so much on Instagram as much as I was, still posting regularly, but I'm just kind of getting sick of it. And it's not as fun making content for Instagram anymore because of that, because you have to almost go to extreme levels now to have any sort of views or audience and say the most outlandish stuff or have the most controversial opinion or whatever. And yeah, it's the game, but it's kind of annoying, and that's why I've shifted more to YouTube. And I just don't know how people are dealing with that these days, because when I started jump training, when I was following all the advice online, it was very general advice and it was never specific to me in my situation. I would just see, oh, this guy doing this or this coach posting that, and I would try it and then it wouldn't really work because it didn't really apply to me in my context. And that's the thing as well, like with everything getting posted online now, it's very hard to give full context on short form social media now. So like you literally can't give full context in like a 90-second clip, and if you try to, no one watches. So that's why I like YouTube much more, because you can give full context behind exactly what you're saying and justify things properly so then people understand why you're saying it and it's not just nonsense advice. Like, what are your thoughts on that, Tom?
Yeah. I will say that I feel very bad for people who, like you said, who are new to the whole jump scene because you and I have an advantage because we're coaches and we've, studied this space for years and years. So obviously we can go and see this piece of content, short form, da da da, and we can go through it and see which is, bullshit, which isn't. It's good for us, doesn't really impact us, but, like, I can imagine, if you know nothing, it's your first day trying to jump higher. It'd be very confusing. You got one guy saying, "You need to box squat to jump higher." You got one guy saying, "You should never box squat. You should never strength train to jump higher." People, like you said, are going to all these extremes, and, yeah, if you don't have any knowledge, it can be very overwhelming. And even, like, I fell into this when I first started out, and this was, again, 2018, 2019. There was a lot less crap online. So I actually had less stuff like getting, pushed in my face. And I still fell victim to it. And so did you, Austin. I know you've got like clips of you doing all these like random banded stuff. And I'm
Yes,
pretty
that
sure
up.
I did like weird banded stuff as well my first days. And obviously looking back, it's stupid. But at the time, the context of what you think, yeah, I do need this. I saw, what's that doing it? He jumps high. I should do it.
Dude, there's something just about the bands that captures the attention. I don't know what
Oh,
it is
people
about the band.
love bands, man. I don't know. Yeah.
People, people love stretching long things, apparently.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. Like the bands always gets people. I swear everyone's fell victim to the bands. But yeah, that's another good point, man. Everyone's going into the extremes. You got like the plyometric guy, you got the strength training guy, you got the no strength training guy. Like there's a guy for like everything, and like there's just, it's never to one extreme. Like nothing's ever to one extreme. Like, and just because one person saw some results from an extreme method doesn't mean that's going to be suited to everyone, and that's the answer. The answer is always in the middle, and it's always hugely, hugely driven by context. Like, context is like so important behind everything within this industry and like this whole field, because within a certain context an exercise can make absolutely no sense, but within another context an exercise can make complete sense and be perfect for that person. And that's exactly why we take the approach we do with our training, and why it's not just like a one size fits all cookie cutter, like extreme, this is the way approach. Like, literally everyone we train is different, and we have to do slightly different things with, and it's hugely driven by their own context. Like, on the last podcast, I mentioned the guy that didn't really respond that well to power work, even though, you know, traditional power work is generally known as a very good thing, an effective thing, and works for a lot of people. Like, with this guy, he just didn't respond that well to it in this very particular way. So we had to adjust things that in his training is very different to the norm. And someone looking at his training from the outside, they'd be like, what the fuck? That makes no sense. But within his context and what we know with him, it makes perfect sense and is getting him results. Like, with my, like, another example, a lot of people say strength training is good and it will get you jumping higher. You have to get stronger to jump higher, which is true. Yeah, that's generally very true. But within my context right now, in my specific situation right now, strength training is bad for me, and
Yeah.
I'm not jumping higher from it because I'm squatting like 3 plates for 5 reps, and I'm jumping lower than I was at my peak when I was weaker. So my lowest hanging
Says a
fruit
lot,
right now
right? Yeah.
is speed and developing my rate of force development. So within my context right now, strength work is bad. It's not bad overall, and everyone should not do it. But within my situation right now, it is bad, and me just continuing to get stronger is going to do nothing. Whereas Tom, right now, within your context, strength training is very good. You get stronger, you jump higher.
Pretty much.
Tom
Yeah.
lift heavy, Tom jump higher.
Yeah. Like, yeah, bro, honestly, uh, I definitely think I need to get my quads stronger. Uh, like, obviously squatting's very good for that. I've been thinking about my training. Obviously, I want to keep continuing to get my squat up, but you know, through accessories, I definitely think my actual quad cross-sectional area does need to increase at some point. Yeah, how I implement that, of course, is going to be highly specific to me, you know, how my week looks. And, you know, some other guy that needs the same thing, he'd have to do it completely different because, like Austin was talking about last 2 minutes, everyone is there, you know, like a unique snowflake. Not one size fits all.
Yeah, so I guess to give everyone an example, I know for a fact right now, if I posted a video that was like literally my vertical shot up by 3 inches as soon as I stopped deep squatting, and you know, you shouldn't deep squat, it's gonna make you slower and blah blah blah. And then I told a little story of how it's like not deep squatting has helped me jump higher. That post would get far more engagement than if I actually gave people genuine advice
Yeah.
with real context and was like, hey, this is how you should be approaching your squats to jump higher. You should be squatting deep. If you have this and this weakness, you should be doing a half squat if you have this and this weakness, and giving everyone the full context behind it and giving people real, genuine, useful information. That post would just not do well. And I know that because I tried that. I tested both. And the post that didn't give people the full context and was more extreme in the outlook of things, did better versus the post that was more genuine and gave people more genuine advice. Now, I didn't actually post like these videos to my full feed. I just kind of tested it in like trial reels, but I just thought that was very interesting how that worked, and it annoyed me that it worked in that way. And that's what I like about YouTube, and that's what I like about doing these podcasts. For people, we can actually give them the full context and help them understand things properly, so then they can actually apply information that's useful within that certain scenario. And it's not just fucking stop deep squatting, or this is, you know, you only have to do plyometrics or some bullshit like that.
Right. Yeah. I can give a real good example of, you know, contorting the narrative to, you know, have a good Instagram post. I could literally say in a post, and it still wouldn't be lying, technically, I'm still not lying. I stopped back squatting and had my highest jumping day ever, right? Okay, it's not untrue. Little do they know, I just didn't squat for a week because I was deloading. All right, and I'm going to go back to deep squatting again. But technically, I'm not lying. I did stop back squatting for a week, and I jumped my highest ever. Right, so just through that, I can get a lot of views. But obviously, you're getting them for the wrong reason.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, you know
that's
what
a
I mean?
very good point. Or I stopped strength training and my vertical went up a lot. We made a full podcast about that, like before. Like that's another example. That's what I was gonna say.
Game's gone. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly why we created the jump profile protocol, because everyone's context is different and everyone has their own unique weaknesses they need to work on. And now it's not like exact in a way where everyone fits in their own box exactly. It's more of a spectrum. Like people, it's not like a box someone's locked in, I should say. It's more of kind of, what's a good way to put it? It's more kind of,
You ever seen those
the
like
closest
hexagon
someone
things, bro?
can step out of at any moment.
Yeah. Yeah. I reckon it's one of those like, well, how many profiles there are, right? It's like a hexagon, right? And it's like in a video game where you've got like, 80% of one section colored in, maybe 10% of like the section to the left colored in or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. I think that's like a good way of thinking about it. And obviously, some people, they might be like 90% one. That's good for some people because it's pretty obvious what you need to work on. If you're 90%, you lack strength, well, there you go get stronger or whatever. But then there's some people who are a little bit like in between. They're like 20%, 20%, 20%, right? And they're the guys who, yeah, just kind of need to do everything. They're just severely undertrained.
No, it's like it's more of a spectrum, not like strict rules.
Yeah,
It's kind of
yeah,
like
yeah.
to watch Pirates of the Caribbean. It's more like the Pirates Code. It's not exact rules to follow, but it's just a guideline to follow, and a strong guideline at that. It's pretty on point in terms of what people need to work on. It's not exact, because if you want exact, you got to go into a lab and do all this testing and go through all these like proper testing procedures in terms of testing your stretch shortening cycle, like your strength,
Right.
like max force output, everything. Not everyone can do that or has access to that equipment. So that's why we created the jump profile protocol. And for myself, if I had known this earlier on and I didn't just follow what everyone else said online, and I actually realized and understood my true weaknesses as an athlete, and what needed to work on, I would have progressed way faster. And when I actually did focus on that in 2022, my vertical like shot up heaps. Like you saw that, Tom, in 2022. Oh, how did I progress in 2022? It was insane.
Yeah, you
From
became a
the
different
start
athlete over like 3 months, bro. It was actually insane.
yeah. And same with yourself. As soon as you started really highlighting your weakness within your
Bro,
context,
yeah.
like you went insane. And that's why we like want people to understand that just following everything everyone says online, like, yeah, some of it can be good advice, but it's like it has to make sense within your context. So if you actually do want free help, it's 100% free. If you want free help from us to find out your jump profile, that's linked down below, and you can check that out. And you can get a strong guide on what's holding you back. But getting back to the podcast, yeah, social media is it's a mess, and yeah, it's starting to get annoying, and even just like some of the like general advice as well with what people post,
Yeah.
like just get stronger, just do these
Oh, right.
exercises. Like, yeah, it makes sense, but then again, it's like lacking the context.
It's too shallow. It's way too shallow. It's like if someone at the rec center they ask you what's your workout routine. It's like the equivalent of posting. Here is my workout routine that I used to hit this dunk, whatever. But any good athlete that's like self-made and like has actually gone from a low level of vertical to a high level, obviously hasn't just followed the same 4 exercises over and over and over again. They've substituted things in and out based on where they are in their training, what's working, what isn't working. They don't just go, "Yep, got my 4 exercises. I'm just gonna spam them for 5 years straight, and I'm gonna keep gaining." That just doesn't happen like that.
No, 100%. Like, even when training people face to face, people would ask me that same question. And it was always annoying because it's like a very hard question to answer without knowing anything about the person. Because without knowing anything about the person, it's hard to give them like a strong guide on what they need to do. Because, like, again, someone's squatting like 3 plates who weighs 70 kilos and they're still not jumping 40 inches, then clearly giving them the general advice, just get stronger, bro, isn't going to work.
Also, in hindsight, yes, it is bad now on social media for clickbait, rage bait, whatever you want to call it. But at the same time, has it always been this bad? I feel like there was a peak where there was good information and there was low rage bait, maybe around 2022, 2023. But think back to like 2015, like when all those programs were coming out and they were promising like 12 inches of vert in 6 weeks. Surely people would have put that together like, okay, maybe this might be bullshit. Because I reckon back in the day, people were even more outrageous in some ways, just like what they were promising.
Yeah, that's a very good point as well. If anything, yeah, the information quality has improved dramatically in terms of what's out there, but it's just like there's so much information now and conflicting opinions, then it's
Yeah,
hard to know
that's the
and
thing. Yeah,
pinpoint exactly what you need to do for yourself. So it's not like there's
yeah,
straight like misinformation. Sometimes there is, to be honest, but it's not like there's straight misinformation. But it's just sometimes it's hard. Like a lot more of the information is good out there now, but it's just hard to pinpoint exactly what you need to do for yourself within your context. I would say that's the main struggle because even when
yes.
yeah, even in like 2018, 2019, like it was the same thing. That's what I struggled with too, knowing exactly what to do. And as soon as I slowly figured that out over time, that's when things skyrocketed.
Okay, but then what would be your one piece of advice for someone who is overwhelmed in the jump space? They've just kind of started out, or not even they just started out, just someone who's overwhelmed and they see, they're scrolling their feed every day and they're seeing all these posts about trying to jump higher and they're seeing completely different contrasting things. What do you suggest they do?
Yeah, that's tough. Like, so I guess I would have to answer that and thinking like, what would I do if I was in that situation going back? I would work out and start with what type of athlete I am and work out what type of athlete I am. I would write down on a piece of paper, what am I good at? What are my strengths? And what am I bad at? What am I struggling with right now? Like, what do I have a good standing vertical? Do I have a good approach but but a bad standing vertical? Do I have a good standing vertical but a bad approach? Does my technique
Yeah.
feel weird when I do a full run up? Like, I'll just self-assess, self-reflect, and write all this stuff down and self-analyze. What am I bad at? What am I good at? Okay, cool. So I've got a clear idea of what I'm bad at, what I'm good at. Okay, so like, how can I fix these things? What do I need to do to fix these things? And you I would write down what I need to do to fix these things, and then I would create a plan going from there based on that knowledge and my situation and understanding myself at that point. That's exactly what I would do. So then you can use the information out there a lot more effectively because you understand
Yeah.
where you're at in your situation right now.
I like it.
Because even just like an age thing too, like some information can be really good for someone that's 20, but can be really bad for someone that's 40 too. So that's another factor.
Context.
So you got to
Yeah,
consider all these things.
it's good.
Are you injured versus not? So if you're injured or have pain somewhere, that's the number one thing and the first thing that needs to be taken care of. Because it's hard to like be explosive when you have pain and knowing you have pain and having that in the back of your head, your body's always going to limit you to some extent.
Yeah, you've always got to that's always got to be a priority. You got to be able to make sure you can get max jumps in. That's number one priority. You should always be working towards that. If you can't, then your whole training should be structured around that. Then, once you're healthy, that's when you can start worrying about jumping higher. But if you're trying to jump higher, building off a broken base, you're setting yourself up just to fail very soon.
No, 100%. What about you, Tom? How would you approach it?
Well, obviously, I agree with what you said, so I won't say that. That's my answer. But other than do our quiz, go to our quiz. It's free. It takes less than a minute. I would say find 2 or 3 reliable sources who go back and watch all their old posts as well, and kind of what they're posting every single week. And if they're like the type to actually give genuine information, and it kind of aligns with your training values, so obviously make sure you're studying jump science and just the whole jump scene. Study it up, find a couple people that align with your, what you think is good training and, just follow their pages and follow along with what they're posting. Don't fall for these TikTok gurus, these guys who, only want to explain plyometrics or they're just very dogmatic with their views. You don't want to be following these guys. You want a guy who's got, an overall approach to training. He's not all on one end, not all on the other. He's happy to sit in the middle. He sees the positives of one side, sees the positive of the other side, and really just isn't always trying to just bait for views. If he's actually giving genuine information, or she, it's definitely gonna be better. So yeah, go find that and just try and minimize the amount of people you follow that are just there for views and likes or whatever. Just don't follow them because otherwise you're just going to be seeing it every single day. You just don't want to be seeing that and having that in your
No, 100%. But even then, like every coach isn't gonna 100% agree with the other.
head. And that's when
So,
you got to like decide in your own mind like what you think.
but then it's like there's multiple methods that work.
It's
You
true.
know, you just gotta pick the one you're gonna enjoy the most because it's like there's multiple ways to make a car go fast. You can make it all electric. You can make it naturally aspirated. You can make it turbocharged. Like there's so many ways and different approaches you can make a car go faster. Jump training, I wouldn't say is as extreme as that because we're not machines, we're like organisms, but there is different approaches and different things that work, and everyone's going to be a little bit different too in terms of what's going to work for them. But yeah, we hope this podcast helped you out and gave you guys a lot of value, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace out, guys.